Hey, what's up guys? My name is Brandon. Welcome to Quick Flicks. Today, we are covering The Hunt, directed by Craig Zobel, releasing in 2020. The Hunt was originally supposed to be released in late 2019, but was postponed due to the horrible mass shootings in El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio, due to the weapon violence and killing depicted in the film. They ended up waiting until March 13th, 2020 to release the film. The Hunt is a pretty gory film with some extremely cool kills. This is definitely going to be a fun one, so grab some popcorn and let's jump into the movie. The movie opens up with a group chat. In that group chat are some rich folks talking about rich people things. One of them, being Athena, expresses to everyone not to worry, that they'll be able to blow off some steam killing deplorables at the manor. They all tell her not to mention that over text, this leading to a title card. We then transition into a plane. On that plane sits all the rich people that were in that group chat, one of them being Richard, bragging about eating caviar to the flight attendant, then asking for some Mediterranean food before just settling on a glass of champagne. While the flight attendant is pouring it, she overflows it, getting distracted at a man named Randy walking out of the back. Dazed and confused, he demands an explanation as to what in tarnation is going on and why he's on that jet. A guy named Ted then steps in to de-escalate the situation, talking Randy into laying on the ground, then stabbing him in the neck with a pen. Randy doesn't give up though. He grabs a bottle of champagne and whacks Ted over the head with it, then breaking it and threatening to hurt anyone else around him. While doing this, Athena wakes up and walks up behind him with a shoe and jabs that heel straight into his eyeball. He yells in pain and she twists it and pulls it out, Randy's eyeball coming along with it. Randy then ultimately bleeding out and dying, then getting dragged back to the storage. The next morning, we are greeted to Yoga Pants waking up. Yoga Pants is played by Emma Roberts, you know, from Scream 4 and American Horror Story. Her mouth is gagged, but she's not alone. She comes across numerous different people, all of which are gagged and confused. They then come across a clearing with a crate sitting right in the middle. A guy walks up to it and opens it, a little adorable pig running out. He then slides out an entire arsenal of weaponry, including guns, big ol' knives, and a samurai sword. Yoga Pants finds a key that unlocks their gags and frees everyone. They then start loading up when bullets start raining down on them. Yoga almost gets shot and takes cover, but then actually gets shot in the head. Honestly, I didn't see that coming the first time I watched this. It made me understand what viewers probably felt like when watching the first Scream, and Drew Barrymore died in the first few minutes. A guy named Shane then scrambles for cover within the trees when he sees a lady referred to as Dead Sexy impaled by a spike. He helps her out, and she somehow has the strength to just go on about her day. That is until Shane steps on a trip mine, and realizing this mistake, he blows to smithereens when Staten Island then comes out of the trees. He finds Dead Sexy down in the hole again, this time missing her lower half body. He attempts helping her out, but she grabs his gun and kills herself off screen. Staten Island then runs through the trees and comes across a fence. A few moments later, he's joined by the guy who opened the crate earlier, a woman named Big Red, and a gnarly guy named Vanilla Nice. They crawl over the fence when Crate Guy gets shot by arrows. He realizes he won't make it up completely and decides to attempt killing as many as he can before he dies, but ultimately gets killed by too many arrow wounds. They toss a grenade on him but forgot to pull the pin, so they double nade that fool and he dies. The group eventually comes across a gas station ran by an elderly couple. The group learns that they're supposedly in Arkansas when Big Red suddenly starts gasping for air and choking on some donuts. It's revealed that she was poisoned, and the elderly couple throws a gas nade but mask up to ensure their safety. They shoot Staten Island in the chest and stand over Vanilla Nice before hitting him with the butt of their gun, all of them dying. They drag them all into the back room, storing their corpses. Moments later, a lady named Crystal walks into the shop and buys some cigarettes. She also asks where she's at, the couple assuring her that she's in Arkansas. When Ma gives her the change, she realizes it's not the correct amount to be in Arkansas. She slams her head into the counter and kicks Pa away, then grabbing the gun under the counter and shooting Pa to death. She then turns around to Ma pleading not to die, but gets shot up anyway. I just want to say, Crystal is a complete BA in this movie. She goes outside and finds a truck removing a fake license plate, confirming that she's not in Arkansas, but indeed in a foreign country. She also notices the booby trap set up on a truck, meaning she's gonna have to travel on foot. Moments later, she comes across a guy named Gary and finds out that he's also being hunted. Gary is played by Ethan Suplee, known for American History X, Remember the Titans, and my personal favorite, My Name is Earl. If you haven't seen that show, please give it a shot. It's hilarious. They decide to travel the train tracks together, while Gary informs her on the Manorgate conspiracy theory, saying he thinks that's what they're currently undergoing. While babbling on about it, they notice a train coming toward them and sprint want to hop on to get the heck out of there. Crystal makes it on no problem, while Gary has a bit of a harder time and needing some assistance from her. Once on, they come across a group of immigrants who don't speak English, but Gary isn't buying it. He thinks they're crisis actors, despite them having a baby. The train suddenly comes to a stop, everybody in the train car hiding behind boxes. Crystal peeks around one to see some soldiers and their vicious pups on their way over to check it out. Everyone reveals themselves just to make it easier and step out. Gary informs a soldier that he's an American and that he believes these immigrants aren't real. He goes on to talk about his podcast and how he's a real pro at picking out imposters. The soldiers don't really seem to care and walk off when Mike walks up and...
I don't think they believe you, Gary.
Yeah, Gary's actually right, somewhat. Mike is actually a hunter, while the rest of the group are actual immigrants. This infuriates Gary and he proceeds to tackle Mike. A grenade then rolls out of his backpack, Gary grabbing it, pulling the pin, and forcefully shoving it down Mike's pants. Everyone in the vicinity takes cover and gets far enough away, but Mike doesn't even get a chance and gets blown to smithereens. After all that shenanigans, Crystal is taken to a refugee camp, where she is told by some higher-ups that she's in Croatia. They introduce her to Dawn, who was also one of the hunted individuals. The higher-up officers offer them a ride from a US Embassy member, Oliver. While driving, Crystal smells through Oliver's bullhead, as he's accusing them of having to have done something wrong to these hunters in order to have been selected to be killed. Crystal hears enough of it and kicks Oliver straight out of the car and proceeds to get in the driver's seat and run over his head, definitely killing him. Dawn freaks out and Crystal explains herself. She opens the trunk of the car and confirms her suspicions, seeing Gary with a knife in his head, Dawn then calming down and understanding. Crystal finds a map and wants to follow the trail to confront the people who are doing this to them, but Dawn just wants to get the heck out of there. Crystal encourages him with a little story her mom used to tell her. The story being about a jackrabbit beating a box turtle every time they race, and being really arrogant about it. The box turtle not having it, then beats the jackrabbit in a race. The jackrabbit, not liking that, pays a visit to the box turtle's house with a hammer one night, and kills his whole family, including the box turtle, because the jackrabbit always wins. This metaphor connecting to the story by saying the rich are like the jackrabbit. They're the most powerful of anyone, and always win. Later into the night, the hunters are chilling in a bunker. Due to lack of experience with weaponry, they have a veteran on site, Sergeant Dell, to help them all out. They all converse for a bit when Richard needs to go do a wee outside. While doing so, Dawn shows up with a pig, distracting Richard while Crystal comes up from behind and slices that fool's throat. The group down below hear the commotion and arm themselves when a pig suddenly drops down into the bunker. This freaks them out enough to unload 1 billion bullets into it, sadly killing it. Martin gets mad at Peter for supposedly almost shooting him when he gets his head blown off by Crystal. She then shoots Dell in the chest, then barely dodges an arrow. She runs up to Liberty and stabs her with an arrow, then racing the doctor to a rifle on the ground. He thinks he catches a break when he pulls out the magazine, but unfortunately for him, there's still one in the chamber, Crystal putting him down. She then uses another rifle to kill Peter, who is attempting to flee. Her and Dell get into a little scuffle, but Crystal overpowers him and beats him down with a pipe. Dawn then comes down into the bunker, missing all the action, but sees Crystal about to shoot Liberty in the head, but tells her to stop because she's a woman. Crystal and Liberty both agree that shouldn't stop her from dying, and yeah. Dawn freaks out and gets upset when Athena's voice comes from a radio referring to Dawn like she knows him. Crystal isn't taking any chances and raises her gun at him. Dawn explains he doesn't know Athena and that she's lying, but won't put his weapon down to help prove his loyalty, resulting in him getting killed by Crystal. She then walks over to the barely hanging on Dell and forces him to tell her where Athena is. Dell gives her pinpoint directions and warns her Athena ain't a force to be reckoned with, as she's been training for a whole 8 months. Crystal thanks him for his service in the National Guard and kills him. We then get a flashback to 1 year ago of Athena walking into an important meeting at her company. They inform her that Martin got his phone hacked and their group text messages about slaughtering deplorables got out to the public, everyone believing it. Athena assures them it was just a joke and not to take it seriously, which at this point, Athena is actually telling the truth. They had never killed people at the manor up to this point. They don't care whether it's true or not though. They care about their image and fire Athena and everyone in that group chat. A few months later, Athena and the group begin tracking down the people online who really cracked down on them about the group text messages. These people include Gary, because of his podcast and the word he spread about Manorgate, Big Game Shane, and of course, Crystal, who apparently tweeted,
"Fuck this bitch. Athena Stone murders innocent men."
And Athena takes it personal, calling Crystal their snowball. Back in present time, Crystal walks up to the manor when Athena talks to her over a speaker and telling her to put her gun in the mailbox or the shaped C4 charge under the ground will blow her to shreds. Crystal obliges and moseys onto the property and into the house. She makes her way to the kitchen where she finds Athena. Crystal doesn't know who Athena is, but Athena isn't buying it and then proceeds to let Crystal know why she was selected and even goes far into her family history, talking about her dad being murdered by the police during a meth lab raid and how her mom died shortly after from an overdose. She then tells Crystal that she was selected for the hunt because of the post she made online about Athena killing people, which led to her getting fired. Crystal lets her know that she got the wrong Crystal May, as there's a lady with the same name back in her hometown. Athena doesn't care at this point, and the two say heck it and get on with the fight. This fight scene is actually really cool, and definitely one of the best parts of this film. The martial art moves, flying through a fireplace, Athena using a double-barrel shotgun to pinch Crystal's skin, which holy moly, ow that would hurt, and finally smashing through a window before taking a much-needed breather. I definitely recommend watching the entire fight scene though, as the choreography is fantastic. Athena eventually stabs Crystal in the tummy with a blade and in the shoulder with a meat thermometer and continues on beating her down when Crystal pulls her into the blade, stabbing Athena as well. She then does another gnarly move, transferring the blade into Athena's stomach. They both lie there on the ground, and Crystal confirms once again to Athena that she got the wrong Crystal. Athena then saying whoops and then dying. Crystal gets up and happily eats some food, blowtorches her wounds, and gets dressed all nice to look like one of the rich folks. She gets on Athena's private jet, telling them she just killed everyone and she just wants to go back home. The pilot saying for show. The flight attendant lady gets some champagne and caviar for Crystal, but Crystal insists that she sit down and share it with her, putting a smile on her face. The movie ends with Crystal drinking some deliciousness and feeling heckin' great. We then go to a title card and the screen fades to black.